Wala. Ayan, yun. Naghahanap ako ng pilot light eh. Sige.
Hindi ako ready. Hindi ako nagpagupit. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. May I present to you a NAMFREL National Chairperson, Mr. Lito Averia, who is going to issue NAMFREL Bantay ng Bayan Bulletin number 1. So this is as of today, May 12 at 12 noon.
Okay, maraming salamat, Paulo. Magandang tanghali po. So, the National Citizens Movement is releasing its preliminary observations on the conduct of the 2025 national and local elections, as observed by its volunteers who are currently on site in different voting centers across the country. NAMFREL has been accredited by the Commission on Elections as Citizens Arm for the 2025 NLE, and NAMFREL chapters have deployed teams of volunteers to observe the election day procedures in the voting centers. The preliminary observations cover the opening procedures as well as the first few hours of voting, including arrangements inside the voting centers. Observations are being sent in by the authorized NAMFREL volunteers through online forms, paper forms, and direct messages. NAMFREL observers reported that in general, the conduct of the elections has been smooth and peaceful so far, with most polling places opening on time, no significant delay in the start of the voting, with the electoral boards as well as the machines and election paraphernalia complete in most polling places observed. This morning's activities are characterized by a high turnout of voters, especially in urban areas, with voters lining up in the hundreds outside main voting centers, even before the polls opened for early voting at 5 a.m. NAMFREL observers reported that COMELEC electoral boards appear well prepared in general, citing their adequate handling of the process inside polling places. Observers also reported that early voting started on time at 5 a.m. However, early voting started late in some voting centers that regular voters were let in even if many members of the vulnerable sectors were still in queue to vote. Inside voting centers, the general observation so far, however, is that the problems arise depending on the turnout in the first few hours of operation. In voting centers where observers noted high voter turnout, problems were observed such as overcrowding in voter assistance desks, in holding areas and hallways, lack of chairs for members of the vulnerable sectors to sit, and the inability of voter assistance desk assistants volunteers, assisters to meet the demand. As of 11:30 a.m., NAMFREL observers reported high voter turnout in more than 83% of voting centers observed. Like in previous elections, it was observed that a big part of the voters' time spent inside the voting center was trying to determine whether they are on the voters list, trying to find their precinct number, and trying to locate their polling place, information that voters could have already obtained or have been provided to them prior to election day. Despite the high demand for voter assistance, observers cited the importance and usefulness of voters' assistance desks and on-site volunteers in facilitating the conduct of the voting process. Observers noted the presence of VADs in more than 93% of voting centers observed so far. So some of the specific observations are as follows. Observers in Rizal Elementary School in Taguig and Nemesio Ayabot Senior High School in Makati City reported that some voting centers were crowded and chaotic. Waiting rooms were full and many people were in the hallways. Many senior citizens were also lined up outside polling places in Tandangsora Elementary School in Quezon City. In Las Piñas City, National Science High School, Many senior citizens availed of the early voting. The result was that they had to wait to vote, similar to regular voting. In Dr. Sixto Antonio Elementary School, Pasig City, observers reported that voters had difficulty finding their names, leading to long lines, and one voter almost did not find their name. In Pasig Elementary School, some voters who had to work on election day and tried to avail of early voting but failed. Meanwhile, in Caligayahan Elementary School in Quezon City, observers reported orderly lines of voters and assistance to them. No priority lane was observed in polling places in Rizal Elementary School in Taguig. 3/4 or 75% of NAMFREL observers reported so far that voting has been proceeding continuously. 45% of observers reported that voters took 1 to 10 minutes to vote, while almost 30% or 29.9% to be exact, took 11 to 20 minutes to vote. Only 1/4 reported problems. The following problems were reported. The voter-verified paper audit trail printing jams, which were fixed. One polling place in Moonwalk Elementary School, Las Piñas City. One polling place in Pardo Elementary School in Cebu City took 10 minutes to fix, affecting 6 voters. ACMs not reading ballots because they were flagged as invalid ballots. These issues were quickly resolved through the Department of Education supervisory officials, or the DESOs, IT support staff. One polling place in Don Carlos Village Elementary School, Pasay City. One polling place in Artacho Elementary School, Sison, Pangasinan. One polling place in Pasig Elementary School. One polling place in Nara LRCS, San Pedro, Laguna. Ballots with stray marks or madumi, rejected by the ACMs as misread ballots. These were eventually accepted by the machines after a short time, with delays not affecting voting. One polling place in Andres Bonifacio Elementary School in Manila, one polling place in Maligaya Elementary School in Quezon City, Kagamutan Norte in Iloilo, one polling place in Nara LRCS San Pedro, Laguna, and one polling place in Pasig Elementary School. The next problem cited, a ballot was not read because of black marks on the screen. The Electoral Board cleaned the screen by wiping it out with tissue. So this happened in one polling place in Pamplona Elementary School in Central Las Piñas. Some ballots were not read because they would be spit out by the machine if the ballots had folds. Cleaning the ACM roller solved this issue. This happened in one polling place in Kaputhao Elementary School in Cebu City, one polling place in San Isidro Elementary School, Surigao City, and one polling place in Bitano Elementary School in Legazpi City. The next problem, ballots were being rejected, requiring the Electoral Board to call for repair. This happened in one polling place in Dr. Sixto Elementary School in Pasig City. A ballot was flagged as invalid because of stray ink. This ballot was accepted after 4 attempts. This happened in one polling place in Pasig Elementary School. The following violations of the secrecy of the ballot were observed. First, electoral boards, instead of voters, were feeding the ballots to the automated counting machines. This happened in a polling place in Rizal Elementary School in Taguig. The ballot secrecy folders were not used. This was reported in Las Piñas National Science High School. Voters talking about who they voted for. This was reported in one polling place in Las Piñas City National Science High School and another polling place in Pasig Elementary School. voters talking with other voters or watchers. This happened in one polling place in San Miguel Elementary School, Calasiao, Pangasinan, and another polling place in Maligaya Elementary School, Quezon City. Ballots visible to other voters was reported in Highway Hills Integrated School. And then the ballot secrecy folders, not enough. One polling place in Pardo Elementary School in Cebu City. NAMFREL is currently verifying with its NAMFREL chapters some incidents reported, whether they are election-related. NAMFREL will include them in forthcoming bulletins once verified by NAMFREL volunteers on the ground. NAMFREL will continue to gather observations throughout the day. Voting will end at 7 p.m., and counting and canvassing of votes will commence thereafter. The general public is encouraged to download the NAMFREL 2025 app from the Google Play Store and Apple App Store and participate in the NAMFREL QR Count 2025 or NAMFREL Operation QR Count 2025 or OQC 2025. Filipinos can use the app to scan the QR codes of the election returns posted outside the polling place during today's counting period to help independently verify electronically transmitted results. NAMFREL will make available the transmitted results it received on the NAMFREL website. As part of NAMFREL Operation QR Count 2025, NAMFREL volunteers will also be scanning the QR codes of the voter-verified paper audit trail in 60 selected clustered precincts around the country. This will be done using NAMFREL-developed app for exclusive use of these volunteers and in the presence of COMELEC-assigned representatives. The NAMFREL National Headquarters in Mandaluyong City is receiving and verifying election observations from NAMFREL volunteers all over the country. NAMFREL is also operating an off-site election data analytics center in partnership with the Asia Pacific College and GeoData. The analytics center located at the Asia Pacific College in Makati City will process and handle election data for analyses and further insights. NAMFREL will be submitting a final report to the Commission on Elections on the findings of the observations, identifying areas that could be further strengthened and recommending measures to help ensure the conduct of safer and more efficient electoral exercises. NAMFREL encourages Filipinos to continue to be vigilant and to help ensure that elections will be peaceful and that the vote count will be transparent. End of the bulletin.
Thank you, Sir Lito. So I will be calling Sir Lito maya-maya ng konti. But at this point, let me call one NAMFREL volunteer who will tell us his experience voting, Mr. Romar Chuka.
Hello, so good noon to everyone. I am Mr. Romar Chuka. I'm also a volunteer and one of the content creators for the videos of NAMFREL recently on election education. And perhaps some observations that I had while I was voting a while ago in Quezon City, sa Fairview Elementary School, was that indeed most of the bottleneck happens when the people, kung yung sa paghahanap nila nung kung saan sila actually boboto. Kasi ang nangyayari, oo, alam ng mga ng mga tao kung saan yung presinto nila, pero hindi nila nakikita kung ano yung kwarto. Hindi malinaw yung pagpaskil ng mga rooms, no? Tapos yung isa pang nakita ko na with my own eyes as I was observing doon sa polling place namin sa Fairview was that yung mga folder, yung ballot secrecy folder, para daw mas bumilis yung proseso ng pagbibilang ng mga boto, hinihingi kahit hindi pa nailalagay nung botante yung kanilang balota. So, ako, when I voted, I insisted na hawak-hawak ko yung balota ko, even with some people whispering na ang arte ko daw. No, sabi ko, ito yung tama na dapat hawakan ko yung folder hanggang sa pagpasok ko doon sa ACM natin, sa automated counting machine. And then another observation that I noticed was that ideally dapat ang tao, ang botante mismo ang boboto, ang bumoboto, siya ang mismong maglalagay sa automated counting machines. But what I observed there was that yung merong EB staff ang tumutulong para siya ang magpasok. And so ako, ininsist ko at minodel ko sa mga tao nung bumoboto ako na ganito dapat yung paglagay. Nandyan ang folder at pinapasok mo ang mismong balota mo. Aside from that, when the voter verified paper audit trail, or in layman's terms yung resibo, no, lumalabas, ang nangyayari naturally sa aking observation ay yung mga bumoboto, pumupunta sila sa isang side away from the screen. Wherein yung screen mo, dapat makikita mo kung sino yung mga binoto mo. Hindi ata alam ng mga tao na touch screen yon. So ang nangyayari, na-expose yung mga balota ng mga tao, may potential risk din doon. So lipat sila sa other side nung ACM, doon nila babasahin yung kanilang resibo, and what happens is they'll put it inside the receptacle. Tuloy parang hindi na nagiging parang wala nang gamit tuloy yung screen na malaki. So ako, yung ginawa ko was I demoed to the people din na parang pinakita ko lang na kaya mo palang i-touch screen yung yung screen ng ACM. Tapos isa ring napansin ko ay yun nga, nag-uusap-usap yung mga tao habang nagbobotohan. So isa rin totoo yun na yung sa report kanina, sir. And then because right now I also posted some election education stuff on my Facebook and TikTok. And people there are starting to comment as well na there are places, hindi pa I'm talking to the people no, na nagko-comment doon sa aking sa aking TikTok. May ang nangyayari daw ay iniiwan na lang daw ang balota, and then hindi tuloy natatanggap yung resibo. So I guess this serves as a reminder for everyone na kailangan talaga ikaw ang magkukuha ng resibo at ikaw ang maglalagay doon sa receptacle. So yun ang observations ko. Nagkakaroon talaga ng lituhan pagdating sa kung saang kwarto. Because for example, no, ang iyong precinct number is 2022 something. 2022, yung iba na 2022 could be in a different room, but people are falling in line because they assume that they're all part of 2022, pero yun pala nasa ibang kwarto sila. So yung iba nasasayang yung oras, lipat pala sila sa ibang mga lipat sila sa ibang pila. So doon ang napapansin kong bottleneck. And perhaps last thing would be habang binabasa nga pala ng tao yung kanilang resibo, 'di ba may time yon na 15 seconds na mababasa ng tao yung kanilang balota. Tuloy ang nangyayari, nade-delay, parang tumatagal lalo yung voting process. So these are observations that I did with my own eyes, and yun lang po. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, so I'm going to bring back Mr. Aviria if you have questions, yung mga nandito po. Salito.
Wala pong mga katanungan. Okay. So kung wala, kala ko makakauwi na ako.
Good afternoon po, Sir El Tarong
Gandang
from
hapon.
Vera Files po. Sir, based on yung nakukuha niyo pong reports na yung mga ACM nag-error, is that number significant enough for us to say na, for us to be worried about the quality of the machines, or this is just hiccup to an otherwise smooth voting process?
Mukhang mga hiccups nga eh. Because yung sa ibang reports, no, either nire-reject yung ballot or hindi mabasa. After cleaning what we call the scanning bars or scanning heads, tumutuloy naman. No? Dahil nga, prior to the elections, tinatanong na ako noon, ano ba yung nakikita natin maging problema? Ang sabi ko noon, the different environmental conditions in the country. So iba-iba yung environmental conditions at mainit ang panahon, no? Dahil yung mga makina tinest yan doon sa magandang environment, naka-aircon, malinis, no? Pero pagdating sa mga voting centers, iba-iba yung kondisyon. Sa init ng panahon, maaring maapektuhan yung performance ng makina, no? Yung high humidity rin, lalo na yung mga malalapit sa tubig, no? May ilog, lawa o kaya sa dagat yung mga voting centers. So may high humidity din diyan. At yung mga high dust particles, hindi man natin nakikita, no? May mga dusty yung air, maaari ring maka-apekto dun sa makina. No? Isa pang effect nung high humidity, yung mga balota rin maaring maapektuhan, ano? Kasi nung pinakyan, nung nakasalansan yan dun sa warehouse, no? Patong-patong, so naiipit ng mabuti, so nagdidikit-dikit, maaring magdikit-dikit yung mga balota. Kapag kayo na na-expose sa humidity, iba na naman yung behavior ng papel.
Thank you po, sir.
Okay. Meron pa? Okay. Wala na. Umuwi na si Paulo. Okay. Sige. Yung susunod pong bulletin, mamayang hapon, siguro mga alas 4. No? And then there's a third bulletin soon after yung closing ng polls. Okay. So maraming salamat po.